you're a perfect example of not counting your minutes, but making your minutes count. What were you seeing when you were able to make those plays?
Appreciate that. You just have to stay ready. I think that's kind of been my whole career is you got to control what you can control, and that's about being a pro. And you can't always control when you can be out there, who you're going to be out there with, but you got to make it count. And so I did that tonight, but also shout out to my teammates to get me the ball when I was open. So it was a good team win.
The Indiana Fever just walked out of Connecticut with a hard-fought 85-75 victory over the Sun, extending their winning streak to 3 games. On the surface, this looked like a routine road win. But the post-game press conference is where things got genuinely interesting because a reporter decided to ask Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark directly about the swirling rumors of a divided locker room. And the way they both responded tells you a lot about what is really going on inside this team. Let us break down exactly what was said word for word because the reality is far more nuanced than the headlines suggest. First, let us talk about the moment everyone is discussing. Near the end of the press conference, a reporter brought up what he described as reports of a division within the team, referencing a possible sideline interaction. Caitlin Clark immediately pushed back. She looked genuinely confused, asking what sideline interaction the reporter was even referring to. And then she said something that directly addresses all the drama narratives floating around online. She pointed out that the Fever are on a 3-game winning streak and playing well, and that the idea of a divided locker room is, in her words, far from that. This is important. The franchise player herself, the person
Pretty much the dagger once you two on the court.
Good. I like that. I like playing with C. I like
you.
playing.
Thank God.
Shut up, dude. I think that C is an aggressor. I think AB is an aggressor. I think Kelsey's an aggressor. When you have 3 elite players like that who all can, dominate a game and take over a game, it's really just up to you. So when you get the ball, you can do what you do. But I think that you just have to have a feel for the game. Sometimes the energy is low, so you have to go out there and kind of.
At the center of all these rumors is telling the media directly that the reports of internal conflict are not accurate. She invited the reporters to look at the stats and the play on the court, which she said tell the real story. Then the conversation shifted to Stephanie White, and this is where the most talked about exchange happened. When pressed about the reports of division, White questioned whether these were actually reports at all or simply speculation and opinions. She made a distinction between legitimate journalism and content generated from fans, or what she described as bots on social media. Her point was that if news is being created from social media speculation rather than legitimate reporting, that becomes a problem, and that legitimate news sources should report legitimate news. Now, this is the quote that set the internet on fire. Some fans felt White was dismissing the passionate fan base and the independent content creators who cover this team every single day. Others felt she was simply defending her locker room against unverified rumors, which is something many coaches do. The truth, as always, probably lies somewhere in the middle, and that is exactly what makes this moment worth discussing. Let us be fair and look at both sides of this, because that is what real analysis requires. On one hand, you can understand White's perspective. Coaches are protective of their locker rooms, and when rumors of division start swirling without clear sourcing, it is natural for a coach to push back and try to shut it down. Defending your team is part of the job. On the other hand, the WNBA's explosive growth has been driven
dictate our defense a little bit, and then we found it. Now it wasn't as long a stretch, so we're closing the gap there, which is important. Recognizing it, staying positive. Communicating with one another. I thought their huddles on the floor were really good, coming in and making sure that they're staying locked in and problem solving together. Positivity in the huddles, in timeout situations as well. And I just think that we're continuing to grow. And
in large part by passionate fans and independent creators who break down every game in incredible detail. Many of those fans felt that lumping their genuine analysis in with bots was dismissive of the very people who have helped fuel this league's historic rise. Both perspectives have merit, and that tension between traditional media and the new wave of independent coverage is one of the defining storylines of modern sports. Now, let us talk about what actually happened in the game, because Caitlin Clark delivered another standout performance. She finished with 25 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds, knocking down 5 three-pointers, some from incredible distances. With this performance, she tied Cynthia Cooper for the most games with 25 points and 5 assists within a player's first 3 seasons. That is historic company. But the game was not without its drama. Late in the fourth quarter, Clark picked up a technical foul for a delay of game after the ball went off her foot and off the scorer's table. And in the press conference, she did not hold back her opinion about it. She admitted she deserved the second technical she received, but she said it was worth it. As for the delay of game call, she was blunt, saying it made no sense, and that it felt like the official wanted to assert himself into the game at a moment that did not call for it. This is Caitlin Clark showing her competitive fire and her willingness to speak her mind even at the podium. Sophie Cunningham was also a major story in this game, and her post-game comments were genuinely heartfelt. This was her first game back in Connecticut since she tore her MCL there last year, and she admitted she was
taking care of the ball a little bit better, specifically me. And sometimes I felt like we were running our offense so high up at half court that we weren't really able to get an advantage right away. But overall, I would say it's pretty similar to what I expected from the film.
Yeah, Caitlin, did you just get an explanation for that hack near the end of the game, or just what happened?
The technical, I didn't need an explanation. I deserved it, but it was worth it. The delay of game made
saying her prayers all day leading up to it. She came up huge in crunch time, hitting clutch three-pointers down the stretch to help seal the victory. And when asked about playing alongside Clark, Cunningham was full of praise, describing Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell as elite aggressors who can each take over a game. She talked about reading the energy of the game and knowing when to step up and when to slide into a complementary role. It was a genuinely insightful look into the chemistry these players are building, and it directly contradicts the narrative that this locker room is falling apart. The technical I didn't need an explanation. I deserved it, but it was worth it. The delay of game made no sense. It felt like Tyler Clark herself also gave real credit to her teammates, specifically thanking them for getting her the ball when she was open and calling it a good team win. She also offered an honest self-assessment of the game, acknowledging that the team needs to do a better job of not letting one mistake balloon into multiple mistakes. She pointed out that their largest lead was 11 and they still won by 10, framing it as a positive while also identifying the area where they need to grow. This is mature, accountable leadership from a player still early in her career.
Incredible people that work in this organization.
good donuts, too.
Good donuts, yeah, good donuts. It's heartbreaking, for the tribe, and it's heartbreaking for this area. But I do think that the New England area and the New England basketball fans deserve a team.
All right, we'll do 2 more.
Okay, you've been an elite player for a long time. I look back at U16, and you played with Aaliyah Boston, Aaliyah Edwards, Diana Miller.
Career. She is not pointing fingers. She is taking ownership and identifying solutions. That is the kind of mentality that builds winning cultures over time. Now, there was one more fascinating moment in this press conference that flew under the radar but deserves attention. When asked about Connecticut potentially having a professional team in the future, Clark deferred to White, who coached in Connecticut for 2 years. But then Clark made an interesting comment, saying she would be excited to go to Houston. This was in the context of the league's expansion and relocation conversations, but it is the kind of comment that gets WNBA fans talking about the future landscape of the league. White, for her part, spoke warmly about her time in Connecticut and said the New England area deserves a professional team. It was a genuinely thoughtful exchange.
Because even after that fact, you're the leading scorer on the team. So, and then there's...
Today?
Huh?
Today?
Yeah, you scored like 20-something.
Oh, okay.
She put the dagger, but you let...
But what sideline
But the
interaction?
point
I'm
The point
confused.
I'm making is that there's reports that it's like the team, there's a division in the team.
Oh, no,
so
we're...
clearly when you see on
Yeah.
the court... And
We're on a 3-game winning streak. We're doing good.
It's far from that.
Damn
so,
right.
I mean, if y'all want to address it, I mean, clearly the
about the growth and direction of women's basketball. So, what is the real takeaway from all of this? The press conference revealed a team that, by the words of its own players, is on a 3-game winning streak and feels far more united than the online rumors suggest. Caitlin Clark directly denied the division narrative. Sophie Cunningham praised her teammates and the chemistry. And while Stephanie White's comments about social media and bots sparked debate, the context shows a coach defending her locker room against unverified rumors. Does that mean everything is perfect in Indiana? Of course not. This team still has real issues to solve, particularly with closing out games and protecting leads, which the players themselves openly acknowledged. But the dramatic narrative of a franchise tearing itself apart simply is not supported by what the players actually said at that podium. The bigger story here is about the relationship between this team, its passionate fan base, and the growing wave of independent media that covers every moment. That relationship is still being figured out in real time, and moments like this press conference are part of that evolution. What is undeniable is that Caitlin Clark continues to deliver historic performances. The Fever are winning games, and the entire basketball world is paying closer attention to this team than any team in the history of the WNBA. That level of scrutiny comes with the territory of being the most talked about team in the sport. So what do you think? Was Stephanie White right to push back on the division rumors, or did her comments about fans and social media cross a line? And do you believe this locker room is as united as the players claim? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and let me know where you stand on this.